This is Casey Kasem in Hollywood. You know, for several years after the Beatles first conquered the world of popular music, nearly every group that came along were being described by their press agents as the New Beatles. But that name never really stuck to them any more than a couple of seconds. Currently, a 5-man group from Scotland is getting that same build-up in the press. And it didn't hurt when Howard Cosell featured them on his first show a few weeks ago. They call themselves the Bay City Rollers, and they're already so popular in England, the press over there is describing their effect on fans as roller mania. Sound familiar? Well, this week they debut on AT40 with their first American chart hit. At number 36, here are the Bay City Rollers and Saturday Night. From Scotland, the Bay City Rollers debuting at number 36 in American Top 40 with Saturday Night.
American Top 40!
Well, now I have the first Top 40 hit by a hot new Scottish group whose guitarist seems to be just a bit accident-prone. The group are the Bay City Rollers, and their guitarist, Eric Faulkner, has to be one of the original optimists. You see, when he sits on a chair, it collapses under him. When he walks into a hotel room and draws the curtains, they come tumbling down on top of him. And during a recent appearance on a live television show in Scotland, some of the fans ripped his pants off on camera. One night when he was 12 years old, just getting started on his music career, the strings of his guitar connected with the microphone stand on stage, and he was nearly electrocuted. Now, with all those coincidences, you'd think that Eric might become a little more cautious, right? Well, he's currently studying for a commercial pilot's license, so he can buy and operate his very own helicopter. Now, that's positive thinking. This week, drummer Eric Faulkner and the rest of the Bay City Rollers move up to number 17 on the chart with Saturday Night. This is American Top 40. I'm Casey Kasem, and now our countdown continues. At number 25 in American Top 40 this week, I have the first Top 40 hit by a Scottish group who took their name from an American city that they'd never been to or even heard of. The 5-man group originally called themselves the Rollers. But group member Alan Longmuir tells us that when they discovered that another Scottish group had already been using that name, they had to pick another one. So guitarist Stuart Wood got a big map of the United States out, picked up a large pin, and while he looked the other way, stuck the pin in the map. The city it landed on was Bay City, Michigan, and the group had their new name. Moving down 8 notches this week, here they are, the Bay City Rollers and Saturday Night. 3 weeks ago, that song was number 1. This week, it's at number 25. The Bay City Rollers on AT40 with Saturday Night.
American Top 40!
This is Casey Kasem counting down the biggest hits of 1976. And this next song is by a Scottish group whose popularity in Britain the last 2 years caused some people to start making comparisons with the Beatles. But that's not fair to this younger group. The Beatles were unique. I don't think they're ever going to be topped in our lifetime. But that doesn't take anything away from the 5 young men who call themselves the Bay City Rollers. Their first hit on the U.S. charts was a number 1 a year ago. At number 64 for the year, here's Saturday Night. The Bay City Rollers took that all the way to number 1 on American Top 40 over the past year. It comes in at number 64 for the year, and that's Saturday Night.
American Top 40!
This is Casey Kasem in Hollywood, and the song at number 10 on American Top 40 is the current hit by the Star Recording Act, who can't hold on to their members. Now, this isn't just another successful group. These are the Bay City Rollers, world famous, money pouring in by the millions, and surrounded by worshiping fans wherever they go. But with all these benefits, these 4 men from Scotland keep losing their 5th man, whoever he is. It began in the spring of last year with guitarist Alan Longmuir. The tours were exhausting, he said. He didn't like being away from home so much. So, Alan resigned from the Rollers, and 17-year-old Ian Mitchell took his place. Ian stayed for about 10 months, until last February. Then he quit too because all the money and the glory, he said, didn't make up for the pressures of being an idol. Ian's replacement was Pat McGlynn, who lasted a month and then quit for the same reasons. So, between April 76 and April 77, one of the most popular rock bands in the world today lost 3 members in a row because they didn't dig the big star scene. But instead of looking for another replacement, the Bay City Rollers are currently working as a 4-man band. Their latest single moves up 1 notch this week to number 10. From Scotland, the Bay City Rollers, and they lead off the top 10 this week on American Top 40 with a song at number 10 called You Made Me Believe in Magic.
American Top 40.
Now, let's find out what's happening with the lovable tartan-clad band from Scotland called the Bay City Rollers. In the mid-70s, the Bay City Rollers are one of the biggest teen idol bands around. They hit the top 10 with songs like You Made Me Believe in Magic, Money Honey, and their number 1 smash, Saturday Night. But by 1978, the Rollers had stopped charting. And soon after, they started going through endless membership changes, until the Bay City Rollers finally broke up in the early 80s. Then, about a year ago, original member Les McEwen, the lead singer, started a new Bay City Rollers. But instead of dressing in plaid, they were closer to a punk band. And late last year, they headlined a 2-day punk rock and heavy metal festival in England. Unfortunately, some of the people at the festival only remembered the Rollers from their teen idol days, and they pelted the band with empty cans. And the new Bay City Rollers had to leave the stage. Afterwards, leader Les McEwen told a reporter, "Apparently, this is a new thing at punk concerts. We may have to change our image again." And that's what's happening with a band from Scotland called the Bay City Rollers, a band that hit number 1 back in 1975 with Saturday Night, and today has only 1 original member left. The countdown continues now on American Top 40.
American Top 40.
You know, some weeks ago on American Top 40, we did an update on that popular Scottish band from the mid-70s, the Bay City Rollers, who broke up in the early 80s. We said that original member Les McEwen, the lead singer, had reformed the Rollers as a punk rock band. Well, a listener named Karen Wilcox in Saunderstown, Rhode Island, wrote to tell us about what became of 2 more members who have gone off on their own. Original Rollers Stuart Wood and later addition Duncan Farr. They formed a new band called Carew. And their first single, Where's the Music, has done very well in several countries, including South Africa, where it went all the way up to number 2. Karen told us she knows so much about Carew because she happens to be the president of their fan club. Our thanks to her for bringing us up to date on former members of the Bay City Rollers as the countdown rolls on.
Casey